I let AI mix my new track, and here's how it did. This incredible software is Automix by RoEx, and it's an online platform designed to make mixing and mixing knowledge accessible to everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you the best ways to use it by breaking down the full mixing session for a breakbeat style electronic track. First, we'll create a new project in Automix and set the genre to electronic. Then we need to drag in our stems, but first we'll give them a quick listen in our DAW to see what we're working with. We're using Ableton, but the principles we're going to discuss apply to every DAW. This track has a lot of elements, especially during the initial build-up. You have these aptly named synth arps, a bass line, some trancey chords, a snare roll, a couple percussion stems, and a classic noise riser. Then there's this transitional synth melody that fills the gap before the drop, and then the main drums come in. These are just one stem without kick, snare, etc. being separate. There's some sub bass, some vocal chops, more synth arps, an open hi-hat, and even some electric guitar. In terms of exporting your stems for a session in Automix, there are just a couple points to be mindful of. Firstly, you don't want them too loud, which is why I've cut a couple dB from each of them here. Secondly, you want all stems to have the same start point and duration. And lastly, Automix needs them to be WAV files with a bit depth of 16 and a sample rate of 44.1 kHz. You'll also want to name the tracks very well for clear organization. This will really come in handy when categorizing each stem in Automix. Now that we've imported our stems, we can click Detect Instruments for Automix to assign each of them a category. We can go through and correct these if necessary, and there may be a couple that it wasn't able to auto-detect. It's worth noting that hi-hats go under the cymbals category. Now let's check the settings we can apply for each stem. The most crucial one is importance. This determines how Automix will process each stem and shape the whole mix. It determines many qualities like loudness, presence, high-frequency content, compression style, and more. It is definitely not just volume. Next, we have reverb amount if you'd like Automix to introduce additional ambience to certain parts. Third is panning. If you want Automix to decide panning for you, leave the pan preference unset. The algorithm is really good at panning, so this isn't a bad idea at all. If you've already set panning in your stems and you want to keep it, set the pan preference to center. Now let's go through and set the importance for each stem. Bass can be medium, open hi-hat low. Main drums are important because it's an electronic track and this stem has the kick as well. The guitar is a leading element when it comes in, so it can be high. FX can be low. We'll set all the percussion to low because they're more in the background. We want the synths to be very prominent, so making sure to set those high. For reverb, we can remove that from the drums completely, add some ambience to the guitar, and riser. We can remove reverb from the vocals because the stem already has reverb. And then we'll hit Create Preview to get a demo mix. Renaming is a great idea for organization. Let's take a listen. It's definitely made the elements brighter, more stereo, and punchier. There's just a brand new life to the track that makes the pre-mixed version feel way too dark and muddy. The fine-tune panel is where you can change the volume of each element if you think any of the stems are too quiet or loud in this preview. We're going to boost the snare roll and the main beat. Slightly reduce the transitional melody. You can also affect the reverb ambience introduced by Automix, but we'll leave it. Also want a bit more open hi-hat. Now we can hit save and exit and create mix to generate the mix. To see and listen to the mix, we can navigate to the Mixes tab. It's good practice to go back to multi-track, experiment with different importance settings, and get a couple more mix options, but we're very happy with the current version, so we'll move on for now. On the right here, there are some amazing features. The first is Mix Insight, which generates a whole report of how Automix processed your mix. You can pause the screen now if you want to read the whole thing, but in general, there's amazing knowledge here about how EQ, compression, panning, and reverb have been applied to the mix. Back in the Mixes tab, you can share your mix as a link, and it even includes both a before and after version for anyone you send it to. You can also master your track directly in Automix, but we'll get to that later on. And on the very right, the download button gives you different options to download your mix. You can download it as audio files or as stems that have all been processed. What's also incredible is that you can download the mix as a DAW session. This works specifically if you have Ableton Live, Bitwig, or Fender Studio One. Let's download it as an Ableton project and see what we get. In the project, Automix has used Ableton's stock EQs and compressors on each channel. You can see all of the settings and of course tweak anything. It's fun to bypass what Automix did and then re-enable it to hear the difference. If you take the time to study the settings it applied, you'll really learn a ton about mixing. It's also done a lot of panning all across the board, which is creating a much more stereo mix. On the open hat, we had set Automix to add a bit of reverb, and you can really hear it now. This is of course also tweakable, as the reverb is living on a return channel in Ableton, which is the equivalent of a bus in most other DAWs. If you use Ableton or one of the other DAWs Automix exports project files for, this is a great workflow to get your mix exactly where it needs to be. You can then export your version from the DAW and use Automix's mastering feature to master it. One thing we haven't really discussed yet is genre. Going back to the multi-track tab, if you change your project's genre, the next previews and mixes and masters it will generate will conform to that genre. Genre is definitely not just a label. It's a meaningful input that shapes how Automix approaches the entire mix. Different genres have different sonic expectations, and the AI knows them. So you'll get very different results with different genres. Let's test by changing the project to pop and regenerating a mix. Even the preview is very different, so we'll make some changes in the fine-tune panel to try and get it closer to the electronic genre mix. Now let's compare the two. The pop mix has brought the percussion a bit more forward, lowered subs in the bass, and has also placed the synths a bit more in the background. The open hat is much louder, which could have actually been fixed in the fine-tune panel. In general, the electronic version is punchier, which is definitely a feature of the genre, with pop being more compressed and less dynamic. Let's change the project back to electronic and then master the electronic mix version. You can see the different options here. You can even upload a reference track, but make sure that the audio you use is high quality. MP3 files will not really provide an accurate reference and could cause some issues. We'll go with optimal. It's much louder than the mix, so you may want to turn down your headphones or studio monitors before listening. The master truly sounds incredible and even release ready. After mastering, you can download your track and you'll automatically get a folder containing a WAV, FLAC, and MP3 version. If you want to try out Automix, you can sign up for free, and 16-stem mixing is available on the free tier. You'll also get 1 audio cleanup, 1 mix report, and 1 download credit for a mix and master before being prompted to go pro. The all project export is only available for pro users. Bring new life to your mixes by heading to automix.roexaudio.com now. See you soon.